Today's lessons are compound inequalities, and our objectives are to solve graph inequalities containing and to solve and graph inequalities containing or. Two inequalities that are joined by the word and. So I'm going to start with this right here, and. You're going to have a sentence that's written something like this. You're going to have a number, then a variable, and then another inequality that's facing less than way. Always will start face less than way. And then another number. Or you're going to have a word or in here, and you would have the variable, then a less than or greater less than sign, and then a number, and then you're going to have the word or. This is the word and, all putting it together, or you have to write out the word or, and then you have a variable with a greater than or equal sign. Could be equal. See, all of these could have equal on here, and have a number. So, with the and, you're going to have one huge equation, and with the or, you're going to have two separate equations when you write out your problems. So, our example 1, we're going to start with the and equations. And equations. So, I know it's going to have this and a variable, x, and that. So we're going to have to see if we're going to have lines underneath it or not. All real numbers that are at least -2, so that means at least means it's going to equal. And -2 means that's the smallest it could be, so it's going to go first. And then at most, again, it can be 4, so you put an equal sign, and then you put 4. Now we are going to graph it. So you're going to get your line, and you're going to put your arrows. You have your 0, and then on the positive side we have 4, and on the negative side we have -2. Now these are worth a lot more points because you have lots of circles and closed circles and open circles. So they're both going to be closed circles. So you're going to put your closed circles. And since your variable is in between, you put the line in between. So let's try B. Again, we're still on the and compound inequalities. So again, we have less than and less than with a variable, x. Okay. Today's temperature will be above 32, so that's saying it won't be 32, so it's going to be 32. But not as high as 40, so it goes up to almost 40, but not 40, so you put your 40 down. And again, they do not have equal sign because it's not going to be 32, and it's not going to be 40. So again, you write out your line. This time they're both positive, so you just put your numbers, 32 and 40. And then you have open circles on both, and they go in between. Okay, C. The books were priced between $3.50 and $6 inclusive. Inclusive means it's included. So $3.50 and $6 will be included in that information. So it's an equal to also because it includes those two numbers. And the smallest it could be is $3.50 and $6. And then you do your line. Again, they're both positives, so $3.50 and $6. This time they're included in it, so it's going to be a closed circle. There's an inequality, and it's still in between. I think I typed out on example 2, might have typed out some numbers wrong, but I'll fix them for you if they are. Or graphs wrong. Like A, I accidentally wrote the inequalities wrong. Alright, so A, C, and D were incorrect, so I did some switching of the inequalities around. And go ahead and do that. Put me on pause and do it. Alright, so now we're going to get the variable by itself. We leave the variable where it's located. It's the same idea as our multi-step equations. You start with the middle and you're trying to get that variable by itself. So we need to get rid of whatever's in the middle besides the variable. And so minus 5 is attached to r. So what you need to do is add 5 to all 3 areas. All 3 areas. You're going to have r in the middle now. And you'll go negative 4 plus 5. That's 1. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. So now that you have everything, there's no r is all by itself. It's isolated. You can now put, they're both positives, so we can do 1 and 4. This one's a little different. The first inequality is a less than sign, so it's an open circle. And the second one is a less than or equal to sign. And again, we're still on the and compounds. And compounds, they're all together, so you're going to put it in between. Alright, B. I'm trying to get x by itself. So we have to ask ourselves, what is 3 doing to x? It's multiplying, so that means we have to divide by all 3 areas. So it's going to be negative 2 is less than x, less than or equal to 5. Now we have our inequality. We graph. 1's a negative 2, here's a 0, and here's a 5. So on B, again, you have just the less than sign, so it's open. Then you have a less than or equal to, so it's closed. And a line in between. C, we're trying to get x by itself. Again, you have to remember your operations on equations. So, can't do the multiplying first. We need to, or division, we need to get rid of the adding and subtracting first. So I'm going to add 1 to all 3 sides. So it's going to be negative 2 is less than 2x, less than 8. Then I'm going to divide by 2. So it's negative 1 is less than x, less than 4. And then I'm going to graph it. Negative 1, it's pretty close to 0, and then 4. This time they're both less than signs, so they're both open, and you put it in between, because x is in between the negative 1 and the 4. D. These are a little bit more steps, and it's going to work a little differently. So, in the middle we have P. But we have some stuff we need to do ahead of time before we can get p by itself. We need to combine these two terms together. So it's going to be 7.2 is less than or equal to, and then you add them up. Alright, we have 15.3 plus p over 3, and remember the 3 is under all of that in the middle, and then is less than or equal to 7.8. So, because the 3 is dividing into all of the top part, we have to get rid of the 3 first. So, since it's dividing by everything in the middle, we're going to multiply everything in the middle. So, I multiplied them, and now what I need to do is, now I can get p by itself, and the best way to do that is, since 15.3 is adding, I'm going to subtract 15.3 to all three sides. Alright, so now I have 6.3 is less than or equal to p, less than or equal to 8.1. You're going to graph it. Please graph on your own. Put me on pause, try it out, and see what happens. Push play when you're finished. Alright, that's how you would graph it. It's right here at the bottom. Okay, so E, I would like you to try E on your own, and put me on pause and check and see if you got it correct when you're finished. Alright, check it out, see if you got it correct. If you didn't, please check again, maybe see what you did wrong with your math. Here it is. Now we're going to go to the OR section of the compound sentences. So you're going to have two sets of equations when you do this. So this is the OR section. So all real numbers, so x is all real numbers that are less than -3, so it's less than -3, or x is, or all the numbers greater than 7. So you're going to have your, and you're going to put -3, 0, and 7. They're both open. And it says x is less than -3 or greater than 7. Look at the difference. The line's not going between, it's going in opposite directions. So discount fares, x and x with or in between. Okay, discount fares are available to children 12 and under, so it's going to be less than or equal to 12, because it says and under, 12 and under. Or adults at least, that means greater than or equal to, and then a 60. Now graph it. Alright, so I graphed it. I'd like you to try C by yourself. Put me on pause, check and see if you did it correctly, and after you're done. Alright, here's your answer for this one. Let's go to the next section. Alright, I want you to solve each one of these by yourself. A and B, do not graph yet. Just solve for the variable, and let's check and see if you did it correctly. Alright, so I did all my, I didn't show every step. You have to show every step. That's very important for us to see where you went wrong if you didn't. So it's v is less than -8 or v is greater than 3. Remember, when you're dividing or multiplying by a negative number, you have to switch the inequality sign. That's the reason why v is greater than 3. And then b is x is less than 2 or x is greater than or equal to 3. Now you're going to graph them. So go ahead and graph. So I